Going live. Are we live? I'm live. Apparently. Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and this is Movie Crap Live. How's it going, everybody? I think you can kind of hear me. I see Sinram, Austin, Twisted Razor are all here, as well as Nathaniel Foga, Cornbread, Jordan Salafalo, Bruce Parker. I'm live. Oh, there I am. Okay. Bruce Parker. What? Oh, what just happened? Oh, now I can't see things. Okay. Hold on. Okay, anyway. I hope everyone's doing well tonight. Austin, Twisted Razor, Bruce Parker, a guy named Crystal. How's it going? Austin as well. I'll say hi to Austin first. I said Cornbread El Moncho Loco. Ryan Walterson, how's it going? Lidcan, Ransan Film, how's it going? The Rocket Lowbacks, Toon J723. Is Paleo? Did I see Paleo? Paleo, wow. That's cool. Sunspot Mel, I'm looking after my mom's dog. Oh, good for you, man. Did I say? I think I said everybody. I hope I said everybody. I'm having weird... Anyway, I think we're okay. So, oh, Buster's here. Buster, did you just want to be on camera? Is that what this is? Is that what this is? Silly cat. Alright. Yellow. Anyway. Did we get to see her mug this week? Of course. Pay my respects to Quibi. Okay. Whoa, a dog? Well, I don't have a dog. I mean, hold on. Whoa, Mike, what'd you just do there? Mike just did something. Okay, let me just cut to actual... Hey, it's me. What's up? How's it going? Alright. So, sorry about that. Hold on. This is being funky today. It was gone in a Quibi. I'm seeing a lot of those comments like that. So, let's show off... Oh, Bloxy, here we go. Could they save theaters by doing what stadiums do? Fill each seat with an iPad, tap to a cardboard cutout, and have people rent their seat. Ugh, that doesn't sound... That sounds terrible. Anyway, thank you for the... Bloxy's always getting the first super chat, and cheers to you. That's... I don't know about the... I've heard about the VR thing's fun, though. With cinemas, I think you could do that. But the iPad thing, I feel like the camera would look shitty. Anyway, cheers to you, Bloxy. And Buster. Oh, Purple Goop's here. Buster, want to be on? Buster wants to show off. Hold on. I want to actually see what I'm doing while Buster's on. No. Now you don't want to be on? You were so... Okay, he's just sitting literally directly off camera. Yes. How is everyone doing with the show, with life? It's cool to be here. There's a lot to talk about. In terms of movie news, it's kind of crazy. It's a little bit of a different show. We don't have a guest or recommendations thing because it is a movie review vote week. So instead of a recommendations on that Monday, it's a movie review vote video. Other kind of scheduling things that I should, I guess, address. First, sorry there weren't as many things this week. I was sort of working on things and just got a little busy. But there will not be a show next Saturday because it's Halloween. I'll be doing fun Halloween things. I was thinking of doing a show on Wednesday or Thursday of this week, but it just, looking at it, it just really wouldn't work. So there'll still be videos coming out, but no live streams until, I guess, the Saturday after the election. So it'll be 2 weeks after this. That's what's going on with that. I just didn't think it would work with videos, my family, everything. It was just like, the more I looked into it. So, the big difference in Borat voice, my name's Jim, and this is Cinema Defection. Very nice. Nice, Ryan. Cheers to you. Yes, but instead of the recommendation things, one thing I've been wanting to do for a while. Even though I don't like to tell content way before, I've been wanting to do a Pluto review because you can't really recommend Pluto like regularly, like Tubi and stuff. So I think next Monday I'll just film a Tubi review, which is something I've really wanted to do for a while. So I'm excited to go through it and actually learn it because all I know are like 5 channels. But I do really like it. I want to do a Pluto review, so it'll just be a normal video. Anyway, so that's what's going on with all of that. So I will miss you guys for 2 weeks. It'll be cool. When we get back, it'll be like a whole different world because of voting and things. Also, let's see. Movies I've shown. Sophie, very into Mothra. We just watched clips. We didn't get to watch a Mothra movie, but we did watch Casper, which is not great. Not great. The 90s Casper. Wasn't as into it, to be honest. It was really, it was not, I don't know. I think they didn't get that, like, Casper's a kid and not, like, 12, 13 and has crushes on girls and stuff. So I was like, I don't understand what the methodology behind that was. But I forgot about that Eric Idle's in it and that there's a Ghostbusters cameo from Dan Aykroyd. Totally forgot about that. I think that's the other thing is on the community tab, I'm going to once a week kind of post a link to an old video because I have like over 1,000, almost 2,000 videos I've made on this channel. So I wanted to, kind of highlight those because I feel like people, probably don't know much about them and stuff. So I did Halloween 3 this week. I'll try to say them on Movie Crap. So if you want to check them out, just go to the community tab. So the community tab isn't just Movie Crap Lives happening, which is not always exciting. I do remember the straight-to-video sequel of Casper with Sabrina. I was thinking about, I think that's it, unless there's another one. But anyway. Yes. I feel like, is that everything I had to say? There was a pizza party this week that came out. I think that's it. Alright. I mean, I have pleasant memories of the Casper movie, and it's like fine. It's just like it's not really a good adaptation of Casper, Anyway, that's just what because we watched some of the cartoons before. I was like, this is not like the Casper. Anyway, did I say Hilary Duff? Did I say Melissa Joan Hart? No, it was Sabrina. Doesn't she? She plays Wendy. See, I thought she's played Sabrina, not Melissa Joan Hart. I was confused. Thank you, Ray. I've gotten a lot of requests for the Borat 2 thing. I'm probably going to do it next week. I'll just mention it really quickly because I have nothing else to mention about it. But to be honest with you, oh, hey, Jane. To be honest with you, I think didn't look like he was tucking in his shirt to me. That's all I can really say. But I'll have more of my thoughts in an actual review. What if Casper is played by Casper Van Dien? Oh, my God, I wish. Alright, so before we get into the main show here, and obviously, don't worry, Quibi will be my Quibi discussion will be here in a Quibi. If you like everything I do here, if you like everything I do during this show or any other videos, check out my Patreon, which is okay. Well, let's start over. Everything I do and all videos I make are supported pretty much by viewers like you, either through super chats during the show or through my Patreon. It is when is Howard the Happy Ghost getting a movie? I don't know. I sort of know who that is, but that probably should have done that at this point. Cheers to you, Bloxy. What was I going to say? Yes. So everything I do is supported by viewers like you, either through super chats during the show, which I cheer a Red Bull to you if you do, or through my Patreon, which has lots of great tiers, cool stuff like postcards, exclusive content, actually access to every episode of my public access TV show, and tons of stuff like that. It's pretty cool, including phone calls, Skype calls, things like that. So if you want more interaction to help support me be able to make more videos and more stuff like this, and are financially able to do so, the link is in the description, or just send a super chat during the show. And the Discord, if you like hanging out in the chat or never get to hang out in the chat and think it looks a lot of fun, I seriously recommend joining the Discord. It has all sorts of cool channels, including Ask Jim, where I try to ask every question, suggestions for Jim. So if you want more interaction or suggest things for me to review, there's General, which sounds boring, but I actually ask, like, hey, what are some what is a movie story you want me to cover? I try to tell them the segments a little bit early on there. as well as like all sorts of like movie discussion. They do watch-alongs. It's a really fun community, and Zane Powers and Austin do a great job. Howard is the Heathcliff of Ghost Comics? That's interesting. Just don't tuba us in this guy. Don't worry. Oh my god, that guy is like... I just like... That story's gross, especially that the camera went down while he was doing it. So like, did they see him... They saw some stuff. Just like... I think that guy's just... That's just gross. That's just... You know, because a lot of people are like, well, it's different if like it was just randomly open, but I'm like, but he knew it wasn't. He was during this long thing. Awful person. Anyway, all right. Yes, I do take a swig. Every super chat, I do take a swig. All right, so let's get into the big story that nobody saw this coming. I think it was a surprise to basically everyone who knew anything about anything ever. Is that Quibi is shutting down. Its official end date is December 1st, so you have over maybe 40 days to enjoy that 90-day free trial if you want to do that. I think that's still being offered. Katzenberg and Meg Whitman have decided to shut down Quibi as it was not going in the right direction. They were running out of money off the almost $2 billion. It wasn't quite $2 billion, but pretty much there. They have about $350 million left, which they hope to return to investors. Here's the thing with Quibi, and I'll get to the trolls thing, but let's just talk about Quibi first. I don't think the problem with Quibi is ultimately this idea of just paying traditional celebrities to get people interested in online stuff has never fucking worked, and you need to stop it. Like, this is like the last time you should be doing this, because every time they're like, let's get traditional celebrities to do things on the web, think of how big it will be. It won't. Like, it just won't. Like, and I'm not saying this because I'm on YouTube or something like that, but I think if you had someone like a Mr. Beast or a PewDiePie or someone who's known, or Ninja or something like that, and said, you can have a show on Quibi, we probably would not be having this discussion, because they can get people, at least 1 million people, all three of those guys, and there's probably plenty of people on TikTok who have 50 million followers. I seriously feel like, and I think the data's there, that they could have brought millions of people to Quibi. And instead, they look at it in this much more traditional fashion. Now, I do think the idea of, like, a lot of people brought up, in an insulting fashion, but it's probably true, that boomers always have to try to be hip, and instead of, even though they did have a very young staff, like the only probably older kind of boomer people were people running, who ran Quibi, like, at the very top. It just feels like they should have really been thinking about what works in a digital landscape rather than looking at it in a more traditional landscape, because they really, it just in a success rate, I don't think like Ninja and Mr. Beast probably wouldn't have gone over there, but I think if you said, like, hey, could you do 10 Quibis, here's a bunch of money, they might have, at least one of them might have done it. It just feels like there was, like, opportunities that I know a lot of online creators actually talked to Quibi, or tried to reach out to them, and Quibi, like, wasn't interested, which I think was ultimately a mistake. The other thing about Quibi is the Reno 911 was the best thing. I see a couple people, Ransam Film is in the chat there, and he said that, he said RIP to the new Reno 911. That is actually really great. It actually uses the technology, the turnstile technology, actually cutting between two different shots. What I mean by that is, like, there's one part where Paul Walter Hauser is actually watching people are actually watching, or so Paul Walter Hauser is watching, reacting to something, and you can turn the camera and actually look at what he's reacting to, and it was really fun. And they did that a couple of times. Like, it's a lot of them, when you do the landscape, the turnstile technology, it's the same shot but in a different mode. But Reno 911 actually had fun with it, and you get a totally different perspective. You could actually watch one of those Reno 911 episodes several times to get a different experience, which was cool, which I think they really could have thought about doing that. I think that really would have worked. The Golden Arm thing from the 50 States of Fright, that was a lot of fun. I think Where the Streetlights came on or whatever, that was all right. The ending was horrible. Run This Town was pretty good, which is a documentary. I know there was an American Apparel documentary I've heard good things about. Free Ration, which I keep hearing about, and I might actually just join Quibi to watch some of the last few shows, because I was trying to watch like everything under my 90-day trial. The other thing when I did have it is I thought the news shows worked really well, because if you were into a news show, you could actually like go back and check a day you missed, and it was a way easier way to follow it, more intuitive in terms of like the subscribe. Like if someone made an app and just took on YouTube and said, let's you can just see like Paleo is here. You can go to Paleo's channel on this app and see like what were his last 5 videos, and you're like, oh, I missed one or something. And it's like really easy. And I think YouTube really tries to recommend stuff, and I think Quibi had that down. There are certain things that worked, and I do agree, like if a creator is looking, like someone on YouTube makes a feature-length thing and they're like, how do I financially support this? Like if I just make one video, it's not going to do well. What if I make like 8 videos? I could see that happening. But I think what Quibi did is a lot of these things were cut down. There's very few of these shows that really took advantage of the actual format, like what you could actually do with it. Most of them were just trying to like rush and push something in. Like the Singled Out I watched, the Quibi Singled Out, was truly horrible. So if you want to check out the Reno 911 or the Golden Arm thing, I recommend doing it. It's fun. It actually just launched. This isn't a joke. It's an app for Amazon Fire Stick and everything like that. So like I was a little confused. I was like, wait, so more people are going to be able to watch Quibi this weekend, and you're ending? Like I think they sort of knew it was over, but it's just kind of funny. The final thing about this is apparently when Quibi founder Jeffrey Katzenberg, which is I hope how we remember him, frankly, because he seems kind of ridiculous. He told employees to listen to the song come on, Business Insider, Get Back Up. I guess it's Get Back Up Again. Okay, whatever. Get Back Up Again. I did the math, and Quibi lasted 34,416 Quibis. Kudos to you, Zane Powers. That's hilarious. Cheers. I do actually want to make a list of like all the things announced and we heard in development that never actually got on Quibi. Sort of interested in that. But yes, he asked them to listen to Get Back Up Again. I don't really like trolls, and if I worked for Jeffrey Katzenberg and he did that, I think I would punch him for that. I would be like, that's the last fucking insult, motherfucker. Like, I don't know. I feel bad for I can't imagine if I worked at Quibi and I was like, I will kill you. Don't play trolls for me. Like I just, I don't think it was as bad as a service. It was sort of a bad idea, and they executed wrong, and they advertised it wrong. I feel like they really didn't put their best foot forward ever. But you weren't a Quibi. You weren't as awful as everyone said, but you weren't really great in any. You weren't as bad as anyone said, but you were never really great. And I think that was the problem, because you had almost $2 billion. I think that is the biggest problem with Quibi, is like you look at, we have an economy that's struggling. We have all these creators who are like trying to make new things and looking for money. And then you had, the guy who produced Shrek, and some business lady tried to make, try to show the kids how to make quick form content and totally failed at it, is a bit ridiculous. I just, Quibi is, I guess, the laughingstock of 2020 that maybe we needed. I'm a little surprised it didn't make it out of 2020, but, maybe it really just shouldn't have. Maybe it should stay dead, because I don't think they really had the creative wherewithal to make really interesting things with Quibi and really use this to their best advantage and advertise it to their best advantage. and as well as like they just didn't have a good enough of a catalog. You can't launch a streaming service with a bunch of original crap. You have to have a catalog. I mean, Netflix didn't really launch with Lilyhammer. You know, they had a bunch of other stuff that mostly people watch. So, anyway, hey, Oaxis hasn't even started yet. So Oaxis is just looking at Quibi and is just going to pick out the crumbs and really take it on. I don't know. I did tweet today that I think Katzenberg is more of a Farquaad than the person he based Farquaad on, which was Michael Eisner, which I think is true. He's definitely the Farquaad because he's far more insecure. He rips off people's ideas. He thinks he's like a creative. He always says, and he really isn't. It's totally and utterly ridiculous. It's so ridiculous what's going on there. Anyway, so we had a couple high-profile trailers. One was Raya and the Last Dragon, which is sort of a teaser proof-of-concept thing. It looked like kind of a fun, almost like action-adventure type thing. It looked more adventure-y than I was expecting, which is cool. Looks like your cute little fuzzball shell guy will get bigger at one point. I had fun. It looked like a cool trailer. I hope there are theaters for it to get released in. So that's what I'm hoping. I don't think anyone had a bunch of thoughts other than that looks neat. You know, will we get to see it? Yeah. The Animaniacs trailer, I find, this is the next thing I'm going to talk about, I find the weirdest thing I've heard analyzed because I didn't see it right away, and I saw these pictures on Twitter, and I assumed like the Trump gag and like the picture that's on the thumbnail of this video would be like most of the trailer, and it's just really quick shots in it, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, why do people like read through trailers so much that like, to me it was like, it's really funny. It looks like an Animaniacs thing. I don't really mind the modern pop culture references because that's sort of what Animaniacs does. I remember talking to friends about Mystery Science Theater before it had come back and said, oh, if it was now, they'd make the time like Lady Gaga was huge, or like they'd make Lady Gaga jokes and stuff. That's sort of natural, but like when you were a kid, you weren't hearing those things every day at the office or, you know, on Twitter or whatever. So it felt like new and refreshing and things are different, but the Animaniac can't not do those things. So it to be honest, it felt very natural to me, the kind of Animaniacs that it should be. There's nothing about this new show that has felt inappropriate in any way. It just feels like what Animaniacs is. I like the light switch gag. I thought that was like really funny. I really enjoyed that. That's kind of the surreal animation gag really works about it. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to really revisit Animaniacs. I've kind of thought about it, but I'm sort of waiting. I also think this is like the push Hulu needs, which does have a lot of cool stuff. I've recently, my wife and I watched What We Do in the Shadows. That was fun. We're gonna watch Pen 15 at some point. They have Fargo, which I'm only watching season 4, but other people like. But I really am excited for the Animaniacs stuff, but I think people are just too hard on it. And I also think I saw Lindsay Ellis's thing. Was that this week? I forget which week this was. That even happened, of her criticizing the idea of. No, it was a couple weeks ago. The idea, you know, the humor of the Animaniacs. I think she was really more talking about Doug Walker, but I think that happens a lot with people with animation. I've noticed in terms of when you deal with adults looking back on animation, and they kind of didn't really think about it for a while, and suddenly they're like, "Hey, Tom and Jerry is violent," or you know, Bugs and Daffy, like this is I didn't expect this and stuff like that. So it's a little. Interesting when that happens, and I think that's sort of what's happening with Animaniacs. But I think when people, because the old ones are there too, I believe, when they watch some of the old ones in comparisons to the new ones, I think it'll realign people. But some people, maybe, you know, they've grown up, their humor's changed, they're not into that sort of thing. But to me, I'm really excited for Animaniacs. So it looks really cool. Yeah. Oh, Ryan Walterson brings up Hysteria. I really like Hysteria. It's really good. What is everyone agreeing with Toon J723? See this Toon J723. I'm glad they cut out the filler characters, but I wish they kept Slappy Squirrel. I do as well. Hey, Ace the Wind Rider, how's it going? So I think this is Alright, my mouth is a little dry today. Oh, hello. We have a super chat. Sorry, I've been absent from working lots of nights. Thank you for making stuff. Thank you, Rocket Duck 413. Cheers to you. That's very nice of you. Well, I'm sorry you've been working lots of nights. I hope it hasn't been too rough, and I hope you're doing okay. And thank you very much for the support. Cheers to you. So, I think of, even though Quibi ended this week, and who could talk about anything else, I feel like one of the bigger stories this week is the fact that we all learned that the Peanuts, the Great Pumpkin special will not be airing on TV. It will be on Apple Plus because they bought the rights to basically all of the Peanuts, everything that wasn't the Peanuts movie. I don't know about the other movies, but they bought all the other specials, and they will not be airing on ABC. This was a pretty big deal when it happened, and I don't think anyone realized when Apple made this deal with the Peanuts that they had bought all the specials away from being aired on television. I don't remember anyone talking about that at all. I remember people reporting on the deal, but I don't think we realized until like this week or something. But Apple is going to let you watch the Halloween special for free for a little bit on their site, as well as they will do the same for the Thanksgiving special and the Christmas special later. Fun fact from Ryan Walterson: since you brought up Casper, the movie and the TV show was written by Sherry Stoner and Dina Oliver, who were writers for Tiny Toons and Animaniacs. Oh, Sherry was the voice of Sherry was also the voice of Slappy. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Okay. Alright. I didn't know that. Wow. I've noticed this happens a lot while I'll be reviewing two sort of things, and suddenly there'll be some sort of a connection, which is probably just a small world of entertainment. But that's interesting. Cheers to you, Ryan. Thank you very much, man. Ed, I saw his thing in the chat there. He's right. Fraggle Rock is on there as well as all the old episodes, which are no longer on HBO. The streaming, as everyone's called it, like the streaming wars, this is a crude move of Apple. Apple is trying to build up a library, which we talk about that somewhere later. But I think, basically, I think this is a big mistake in a certain way, because if I was Apple, I would say I would play it on ABC and then have your Apple buy out all the ad space for your own crap and say, like, hey, ABC, if you want the Peanut special, you can only have ads from us, but we'll buy out all the ad spaces and stuff. And ABC's probably like, yeah, cool. And then, I'm sure you get, your Apple, you make a ton of fucking money. Then you're like selling Apple Plus, because people will be like, oh, if I can watch all the Peanuts and all the specials, like, you can go like, hey, remember these other weirder specials or these TV things. I think it could actually help in a way, but this way of saying, like, well, it's not on TV, I do think sort of pisses people off. And I do think it's unfortunate. And it stinks, because we were going to watch that, and I was going to look up the listings, then I saw the story, and I was like, oh, like, we don't have Apple Plus on, I mean, I guess eventually I'm going to sign up, but I do think people will sign up because of this, because they just will want to have them. It's just sort of a grand tradition, but this is sort of where content is going if we're being, if we're being real about these sort of things like this. And that's premium content, because around those times of year, that content really does matter, in terms of ratings and views. TuneJ723 brought up, do they even air outside of Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas? They sometimes do. They don't always. I don't know the dates on that, but I've heard them do it before. But the Thanksgiving one isn't. I really like the Pilgrim one. Frankly, it's sort of a nostalgic favorite. I know it's not very accurate in any in any degree. The Christmas ones, of course, yeah, that sucks. Like, it's not gonna be on my DVR. Like, it's like, I do think it sucks. I think it's sort of a bad move for Apple Plus, because it's like, yes, it's a good move. Yes, they will get a lot of signups. In fact, people will actually go to their site to watch the special. I guarantee you. But it is, I think it is going to take a while to get to that same sort of relevancy. And it's the same thing with, like, I think I brought up how when I don't know where I brought this up. Somewhere. Was it on here? Who cares? When I brought up how The Wizard of Oz, when The Wizard of Oz was on CBS, I actually watched it the last night it was on CBS. It was on broadcast TV, and then Turner bought it. And it took a little bit. I think The Wizard of Oz never truly went away, but I think it took a little bit where the tradition of it, it just sold out, like, right before COVID. They had special screenings. They sold out, like, pretty much every ticket there was there. And I think they're going to have to look at something like that to keep that tradition alive in a way. So Apple, I think, will have to say every year we'll, like, make these free and really promote, like, have a thing on Twitter, have a thing on Facebook, like, say, like, hey, you want to watch it from Apple Plus? Here's the link. Because I haven't seen anyone post a link. Maybe I will find the link and figure out the details with that. But the last Peanuts special was on Fox? That's weird. Anyway, it is sad, but I think we're all going to just have to get used to it. But it's just the way things are going. Certain classic movies, certain brands, certain specials are going to sign deals with streaming services, and that's just sort of the future we're in. I think TV is losing, especially during COVID times, and probably through this decade. I wouldn't be surprised if TV's just a thing you play reruns on or something. Like, I just don't think cable's going to work anymore. So, in Snyder Cut news, Zack Snyder's cut of the Justice League, which was definitely never a cut ever. Even the guy who runs HBO Max was like, yeah, there was never a cut. He left, and even the Joss Whedon stuff was already being planned during Zack Snyder's involvement. It's just like such a weird thing. But to extend this thing, they're going to bring back various characters who pretty much we all thought were never going to come back, including Jared Leto's Joker, who was not, I believe, cast by Zack Snyder, and was not in the original Justice League. A lot of people have said this is probably because Jared Leto is still in business with Warner Brothers, and he was really annoyed by the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie going into production, and they kind of want to warm him up to Warner Brothers, as well as, they have to make something that presumably, even with the original thing, was 2.5 hours into 4 hours, so why the fuck not? And why not use the Zack Snyder kind of view, even if he didn't cast Joker? Maybe he was in a board meeting and said, why not? And then Joe Manganiello, who played Deathstroke, yes, I said that right, is going to be back. That, I feel bad for him because he never got to do anything. So him, I'm sort of okay with, to be honest with you. As well as Amber Heard in whatever the fuck Fish Lady, I don't know. So remember a couple weeks ago, I forget which one, on this show, I said, let's make the worst Spider-Man 3 ever. I really think the Spider-Man isn't doing that. Justice League was like, what if we just said, fuck it? Why even try to make a good Zack Snyder movie? I'm sorry, that's not even a thing that's real. I couldn't even say it with a straight face. There isn't a Zack Snyder good movie. Has he ever made a good movie? I mean, like, his best movie was, Dawn of the Dead, which is an inferior, shitty version of a good movie. That's like Zack Snyder in a nutshell. So, there will never... God, he's so bad. Like, it's like, just because his shots are pretty, people always, like, say, oh my God, he's so bad. Anyway, so yeah, basically I think they're like, let's make the most worst DC Zack Snyder movie we can. Oh, whoa, Niji Kichu's back. Hello, Niji Kichu. I'm glad to see you here. Fun fact, Samuel L. Jackson has a stipulation in every contract where if his character has hair, he gets to choose the wig no matter how ugly or stupid. Wow. Wow. Niji Kichu, I did miss you, and that was an amazing fun fact. You really... That's awesome. Here's to you. Everyone's saying Guardians of Ga'Hoole. I have not seen the Owl movie. Was Sucker Punch a masterpiece? It was a masterpiece of something. I'll put it that way. But let's just say he's going to make the absolute worst idea of what those Zack Snyder DC movies are. I think it'll be the most Zack Snyderist worst turd of an absolute movie you could ever imagine. I'm excited because this thing is going to be so bad. And it's like, there's no way enough people are excited for this crap. It's that's the thing I find hilarious. It's like if they fix the Last Jedi thing for people, I guarantee you not enough people give a shit. It is like not worth this amount of money. Why wasn't this just like, you know, animated by like some stick figure people or something and they called it a day? That's all that should have happened. Oh my god. I find this thing so ridiculous, this whole thing, that this has gone on this much. By the way, I will review the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2 when the Zack Snyder cut that weekend, whenever, like the week before or something, just to prove, like, because I was one of those people who's like, I love Superman 2, but I'd love to see a Richard Donner cut. I remember how disappointing that cut was. So anyone who's so into the Zack Snyder cut, I would love to see them read or their supposed vast conspiracy, which is total bullshit, which has always been bullshit. I just love, anytime you heard people talk about it, it was such bullshit. It's just hilarious. Bring in Hades, Slipknot, and the Enchantress. You're right, Zane Powers. Let's bring it on. Let's get the whole Suicide Squad. I want Supergirl, not from the TV show, but that movie that I never saw from the 80s. Anyway, cheers to you, Zane Powers. Let's get the Flash from the 90s show. Let's get Nick Fury with David Hasselhoff. He's not DC. Who gives a shit? This movie's awful. Let's get every bad superhero adaptation. Let's get Steel. Shaquille O'Neal. He's Steel. He can be in this. Let's put him in this. Let's get Creech from Monster Truck so I can stay on brand. Let's get Alf. Let's just, who else is awful who could be in this? Let's get George Clooney as Batman. The new DC stuff can have Affleck and Michael Keaton. This can have George Clooney and Val Kilmer. Let's get Chris O'Donnell. I think he makes a lot on whatever NCIS show he's on, but I'm sure he would walk by or something. Let's also get the Justice League from the TV show pilot. Let's do that. Let's just go all out. Let's just make this the worst fucking horrible thing. Yes, I want Howard the Duck. I want Arnold Schwarzenegger. Ryan Walterson said, let's get Halle Berry. I want Arnold Schwarzenegger both as Mr. Freeze and as Conan the Barbarian. I want Rocky to show up. Why not? Let's just go so crazy, like Godzilla from 1998 can be there. I don't want this movie to make sense. I just want a whole nonsense thing, and Zack Snyder can feel real good about it, and then, you know, he can walk off in the sunset, and hopefully we'll never see him again. That's my stipulation. That's my stipulation, by the way. If someone said there should be spiders in it, I think. I keep missing what TuneJ723 is, and then people are like, he said a thing, and then I gotta scroll back, and then, yes, the spider from Wild Wild West. Let's just go so crazy with this that it's unintelligible. Nick Cage, I've seen some Nick Cage in here. But yeah, I think HBO Max should be like, look, this doesn't need to make sense. The Sucker Punch ladies can be in it too, but Zack Snyder, you can make the worst, most horrible Avengers team up of every terrible superhero thing ever. His Watchmen can be in it too, but at the end of it, he has to walk off into the sunset like he's fucking Kung Fu. Did you get that reference, or did you remember the reference from Pulp Fiction? Probably. And then he can never make anything again. It will be an epic, you know, Bruce Moose ending of all this. I see Duck Dodgers. Oh, and Kevin James will end it. He will say, that'll do, pig. That'll do. Does that make sense? No, but Baby is a Warner Brothers property. This will be amazing. I saw bring in Paw Patrol and the Blindside cast. Why not? Eight-legged freaks would appear? Sure. The Teen Titans who are animated? Absolutely. The Super Friends? Let's do it. Let's just go so all out. No one knows what anything makes sense, and even Godard thinks this is a masterpiece. That's what I want from this, and Zack Snyder will absolutely have to retire because he'll never be able to top it. Angley's Hulk, the Amazing Bulk. Okay. This is just going to be me listing off things. Who would watch a video of me just saying titles of things? Sorry. Anyway, cheers to you, St. Powers. Just list off all the ways that this could be awful. Quail Man. Scooby-Doo from Scooby. Alright. We need to... the chat is going crazy with all these suggestions. I love it, though. You guys are great. Pluto Nash. What is with all the Pluto Nash tonight? I'm a little confused, but is that on Netflix? Armand White is going to love it. Is he still around? You know what I like about the Armand White thing? I love when people go, but if you think about it, he's a good critic. I'm like, no, he's really not. I've read him. He's not RDJ from the Judge cameo. That is a Warner Brothers property. Trayvon Reed. That was amazing. I like it. Cheers to you. Oh my, Blank Man. Everyone has so many good ideas. This is so horrible. Oh, hold on. That was from Trayvon Reed. We have a Niji Kichu fun fact. Fun fact from Niji Kichu. Niji Kichu's got some Sam Jackson going on right now. I love it. I actually really love Sam Jackson. I think he should have an Oscar at this. He's just like such a reliable, great actor. Anyway, sorry. Niji Kichu with an amazing super chat. Thank you very much for the support. Niji Kichu said, fun fact, Marvel Comics redesigned Nick Fury to look like Sam Jackson way before the MCU. This is actually true. When he found out, he scared Marvel into telling him they plan to make the MCU and want him to play Fury. He agreed if he gets to be in all of them. I think it was all of them is what you meant. Anyway, thank you very much for the super chat, Niji Kichu. That's true. And the reason he found out is actually, I knew this at the time, is Sam Jackson reads comics, because I was reading the Ultimates at the time, and people were like, dude, Sam Jackson knows. I remember that in a comic book store. Ultimates was a good book, at the beginning at least. I have the Marvel app. I need to not just read dumb 70s, 80s Star Wars comics, which I've gotten into because of this. So, anyway, Niji Kichu, I'm so glad you're back. You've been really killing it tonight, so thank you very much. Another cheers to you. And all right. I want to bring up that this is the end of the massive crossover, because Austin has said that it should have Doug Walker, Linkar, and Spoonie and Angry Joe all in it. The crossover is complete. And I want Linkar to do that running thing. What is that from? I don't remember any of these Channel Awesome people, like, ever. I don't remember this stuff. Anyway, nice to see you, M Blood T. Oh, it's man. Anyway, what is that from, the running thing? Does anyone know? I feel like people are gonna know. Alright, so in other movie news and streaming kind of news, No Time to Die. This has been a rumor on Twitter, and by the way, when I say it's a rumor on Twitter, I was actually going to talk about it before it had been confirmed, because I had heard, like, actually reputable people. I could have died today. Sorry, that's not. I know what they're referencing. If anyone thinks I'm cool, that's from. It's the Blood Rain review. I've never even seen Blood Rain, so if I ever review that, then I guess I would watch his review. Anyway, so No Time to Die, and I'd heard this from various people like Drew McWeeny and various other pretty reputable film reporters and critics were talking about how No Time to Die was trying to be sold by either Apple or Netflix. It had been propositioned to them. From Variety finally posted a story which seemed to be confirmed by various sources that they say it got up to $600 million. I had heard through rumors on Twitter from, again, reputable people who I definitely think have those connections to have that, have said it got up to $800 million to be bought for an exclusive, just buy the rights completely for No Time to Die. Now, there's various complexities that a lot of people aren't talking about, but I'll just get to the No Time to Die thing. They have said, MGM has said, this hasn't gone through. Apparently it was done through MGM, not through the Brockleys, who own the rights, who own and make the most money off of James Bond. I'm assuming they would know, because they weren't going to just show up with a check and be like, hey, we sold it to Netflix. Are you cool with this? Like, I think they would have had to have known if they were doing this, knowing that MGM pretty much only has Bond in, like, Rocky movies, and that's, like, all that's keeping that studio afloat. The $600 million sort of makes sense, because after the theater cut, that is how much they would have made if this film made like $1 billion. If this was a hit like Skyfall, which seems pretty unlikely considering the theatrical market. I haven't seen No Time to Die. I think there's a lot of hype around it, but Spectre made about $800 million. So if you think about that, if they did sell it for $800 million, that would be insane, because there's who knows what this would have made, but the fact that they would have made everything they could have made on theater from a streaming deal is insane. You could also say that Bond films do very well on home video, and through syndication and through TV airing. So the idea of selling it for that much actually sort of makes sense. I have a super chat from Sarah that says Blood Rain, worth it for Billy Zane Hammery. I mean, that kind of sold me there, Cinram. I do love Billy Zane Hammery. So cheers to you. Thank you very much for that. That I might watch it now. I did watch The Phantom recently. But they do make a lot of money on TV for TV channels, and when stream rights are available, they're just a magnet for views. So I sort of get why they're asking for that. But apparently MGM has said that that's not what's really going on. No one's really gotten a confirmed thing. Apparently Apple and Netflix balked at the $600 million price. Supposedly people are saying, like, was that the final price? Were they not willing to negotiate? Is there something that's going on there? The other thing with this that kind of complicates this is MGM is trying to get bought, basically, get acquired. This has been a thing that's been going on for a while. I think I talked about it for a while ago, and that James Bond would be a part of this. I'm really surprised that MGM would just say, here's 600 just for No Time to Die. I think what happened, and I'm really conjecturing a lot, and I don't have the data to back this up, but basing on that, we've been talking about MGM trying to be sold for a while. The James Bond rights are a crown jewel of MGM, because that is like the thing that just makes them tons of money. It's one of the biggest things about that studio. I think what they were probably trying to say is, here's our price, and we want $600 million in addition. You get No Time to Die. I am curious if these talks between Netflix and Apple are to buy all of MGM, which both those studios sort of need. I think it would be a bigger play for Apple because they are trying to get a library, and having James Bond would really help them. Because if you get, by the way, if you get an Apple product right now, you get a year of Apple Plus. And if you're like, oh, and I get all the James Bond movies, man, when this ends, I think I'll like keep paying for it. And I think that's something they could really use. If I was Apple, I would just buy that shit, because you get all the Rocky movies and you get James Bond. Like, there's a lot of people who will pay out the nose for that, frankly. But my little shelf, my sock drawer is open there. But I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with this. I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the year there is a deal, but it seems like they're trying to hush rumors. They have like the sponsored stuff they're trying to do with this. Like, you see some of the liquor ads are like kind of just posting things anyway, because they're like, well, we have to put this out at this point. So the campaign for this has been sort of all over the place. So I sort of think it would be a good deal. I think if this was on Netflix, people would freak out and it would be a huge hit. But I think they're sort of asking for way too much. I think 500, 450 is probably a little more realistic given what's happening. It did cost about $250 million, so that's probably why they wanted to go that high. We'll see what happens, but the idea that they are trying to do this kind of shows you what's going to happen to a lot of these films that were positioned to go to theaters, is they sort of need to do something with them at this point. Alright, so the next thing, and I might need to use the bathroom in a little bit. Drank a lot of water. Yeah, maybe I'll do this one and then I'll go to the bathroom real quick. Sorry, I might need to take a break a little early. Apologies. Fast and the Furious, it was announced, will end after 2 more movies. Obviously, Fast 9 has been finished and has been delayed because of the pandemic, but there'll be 2 more after this. They will both be, the Billie Eilish song. That's a good point, Sleepy Time. Thank you. But Fast and Furious will have 2 more movies after this, meaning there will be Fast and Furious 10 and 11. They were thinking of ending it at 10, but they've clearly came up with an idea to keep it going till 11. Justin Lin will be directing 10 and 11. That means he directed, I think, Tokyo Drift 4, which is just called Fast and Furious or whatever, Fast 5, Fast 6. He took 7, 8 off, and then he came back for 9, and then he's doing 10. He's done like more than anyone ever has. And I'm not really surprised that they, that this franchise is pretty huge. I don't know. I think they do need to kind of find an end to it and like reinvent and do something different with it. because you can't like keep Vin Diesel around forever. But I think it will. I think they probably will actually end it. But the fact that they have Justin Lin back, who's really the guy who made it the ridiculousness huge $1 billion franchise it is, makes the most sense to me because he is, pretty. He's really good at it. Like he's the reason Fast Five was the I think probably my favorite one. I think it was the daily question in my general chat today, in the general Discord today, was what your favorite is, and I said Fast Five because it's the one that's like overly ridiculous. He did the Avengers style team ups that have continued through the series. He made it a lot of fun. He made it sort of like laughing at it, but also really loving it, which is a weird thing that only Fast and Furious can do as well as it does. And I think Justin Lin's genuinely great at it. So I'm excited to see him come back for Fast 9, and I think him ending out the series makes the most sense because the series isn't really the Point Break ripoff that it was at the beginning. It's really Justin Lin's Fast and Furious at this point. So him running it till the end makes the most sense to me. All right, so I like Star Trek Beyond, actually. I thought he did a good job, but what he did is he made one that was more like the TV show than the movies, which is something very few of the movies ever did, and I think people didn't really want that. The ending wasn't great either. I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. Sorry, I drank too much water, and then I'll be right back, and we'll finish up the rest part. There's more stories right after this. Apologies. Excuse me. Hello, chat. Ugh. Quibi is dead. Or is it? Okay, sorry. I really had to use the bathroom there. Talk about Quibi. I did talk about Quibi at the beginning. So, if you're ever watching this, you're watching it later, you can see I usually have chapters during the video. So you can actually go back and you can pick the story, by the way. If you didn't know that, I actually do. If you're watching it live, I can't do that. But later, yeah. All right. But if you're watching it later, you can do it. Which I think a lot of people watch it later. Depends on, unlike last week, I think the algorithm went crazy. And I just was in a bunch of places for no reason, which that's cool. All right. So let's talk about, I was just going to talk about the trailer, but it came out Once Upon a Snowman, the Disney Plus Olaf short that came out this Friday. I watched it already twice because, you know, I have a daughter who's 3. It is... Oh, whoa, hold on. Justin Lin as a director really needs to make a comeback. Beyond was my favorite of the previous Star Trek. See, someone's with me on that. Better Luck Tomorrow needs more love too. You are actually right about Better Luck Tomorrow. I you know, it's funny. I saw Better Luck Tomorrow like right when it got on video, and it's so weird to be with that evolution of that that director, like as this cool indie movie in, you know, in Sundance, to like him directing like the biggest franchise ever is a weird situation. But I think he is good as a Fast and Furious director, but I would like him to do other things after this is over. I think he should not be part of the newer one. But anyway, cheers to you, Will. Nice to see you here. Cheers to you. So anyway, I've seen Once Upon a Snowman, the Olaf short. It basically takes place during the movie Frozen, between Let It Go and when Anna and Kristoff find him later on in the movie. It kind of shows you like how he's confused who he is, how he picks up on certain things. You get he goes to the shop or whatever, and you find out how Anna got the carrot. She actually sold her dress, which I didn't know that. That's new info. So it's a cute little short. It's fine. The only thing is I didn't remember where Olaf got his carrot nose, so my wife and Sophie think I need to rewatch Frozen because I forgot where Olaf got his carrot nose. He does have a bit with a nose where he has a sausage nose and stuff. It's a cute little short. It's sort of like that Lion King 1.5 thing that happened. That those things that take place during the movie things, you know, it just, I don't know. I guess it's like a cute little short. It's not very long, but I guess they thought, well, we make these Olaf at home things. Why don't we not make those and just make this cute short? I wish they would put the Olaf at home things on Disney Plus. I don't think they are actually, which is a shame, but they are on YouTube, so I guess they're not unavailable. There's been a lot about Eric Andree, and I've gotten a lot of requests. His show comes out on Sunday. It seems to be kind of up in the air if his show is ending or not. It feels like he really likes doing it. Hannibal Buress will not be. Zane Powers. Hot take, Olaf should have stayed dead. Frozen 2. Cheers? We killed a Rimble. Okay. It seems like there's a possibility he will continue the show because he likes having artistic freedom on Adult Swim. That seems to be something that HBO Max, Warner's, and Adult Swim are really selling. Look at what happened with Primal. I think they know Eric Andree is still a hot property, and that show still gets memed all over the place, so why wouldn't they stop doing it? But Hannibal Buress has left the show, and they'll have like this Frankenstein creature, and Lakeith Stanfield's one of them. Sounds interesting. I'm sort of down for more Eric Andree, particularly during the chaos that is this during this 2020 this thing. I've always heard in real life he's very nice. And he was hurt during that John Cena thing. There's not really much to talk about other than that his show's coming back tomorrow, so that's exciting. But Hannibal Buress has other things he's working on, so it's not like he was fired or there was some disagreement. He's a busy guy. We were kind of lucky to have him on it for as long as he was. So, The Batman, the movie that is currently shooting in London, I believe, has had more disruptions because of 2020. Here we go. Funny story from Ryan Welcherson. A friend of mine doesn't want to buy the $6 Disney Plus because he doesn't want to give Disney money, and he bought a $40 4K copy of Frozen 2 without owning a 4K player at the time. Ryan, I have so many... What? But why would you... But what... But you know... But... That's a story. I don't know what to say. I don't understand that. Cheers to your friend, I guess? Thanks, Ryan. Cheers to you. I'm confused. That's weird. All right. So anyway, the Batman is obviously shooting right now. It's shooting during COVID times. It's been having all sorts of issues, and apparently they're going to be using the Mandalorian stagecraft type technology to shoot it. The difference between this and Mandalorian, however, is Mandalorian is shot on a soundstage and pretty much just with the stagecraft stuff and a few sets and things like that. They are going to use it on pre-existing sets that are not necessarily, kind of like pre-existing sets, and it was not made to use the stagecraft technology, whereas Mandalorian, all the studios were made to use the stagecraft technology. So it's going to be using it in a different way than they did with Mandalorian, which is kind of interesting, actually. We'll see how well it does. It sounds like they're sort of testing it because it's so much harder with COVID. The stagecraft technology is going to become more and more kind of prevalent because people, you can't do location shoots, you can't do as big of crowd scenes, things like that. So I think you're going to see more of that kind of naturally, and that the fact that the Batman is installing this, I think they just want to somehow complete this movie, and it seems like probably the only way they could. So the Power Rangers cinematic universe thing kind of takes a bit to explain because there's a lot that people are kind of confusing about it, and there's a lot that we actually already know about it that's kind of involved in the story. But before I get to that, Will has a super chat. At this point, Disney pretty much owns everything, so we've most likely already given them our money, though indirectly all a matter of time. That's depressing, Will. But it's true. It's true. Why would you buy a 4K? Did he return it? I could watch a whole podcast on why he did this. Or listen to one. That would make more sense what I said. Anyway, cheers to you, Will. So, they are working on doing a shared, not cinematic, sorry if I said cinematic. I think I said it in a tweet somewhere. But it is wrong. A shared universe of Power Rangers. Basically, how they're going to do this is the guy who did The End of the Fucking World and I Am Not Okay With This, creator John Entwistle, who previously, and I think I talked about this a while ago, was going to do a Power Rangers where, they go back to the 90s, like that Power Rangers movie. This is part of that. And since they're very positive on that, they're going to have a shared universe that involves the shows and everything that's going on. Supposedly the next show, which is Power Rangers Dino Fury, which is going to be on Nickelodeon in 2021, is going to be part of that. No one's sure if he's going to really... Apparently he's going to have some say over what's going on, but how much indirectly they are a shared universe, they haven't really gotten into. I think the 90s idea sounds actually a really good idea, but one of the things I think that could really work about Power Rangers is everything... This mic keeps leaning over. Stay there, Mike. The thing with the Power Rangers is what they did in the movie was darken it up and not make it as bright and colorful, and people are generally okay with that kind of stuff now. So I think they really should just do Power Rangers like it's Power Rangers, just not use footage from Japan or something, actually shoot it. And I think people would be down with it. But that 90s thing sounds cool, but it is going to be a shared universe with TV shows and movies, and John Entwistle will be in charge of it, basically. He will be the Kevin Feige based on his idea from the 90s movie that we've heard about, which I think sounds promising. It sounds like they're kind of doing this in a smarter way. When people hear the shared universe thing, I've heard a lot of people go, but that first movie didn't work. Try to remember when they're talking about this, they're talking about the idea of they would go back into the 90s like the classic Power Rangers thing. That to me sounds like a Power Rangers idea that sounds very appealing to most people. I do think, much like the last Power Rangers movie, they're getting a little bit ahead of themselves. But so I have two pretty big this mic is scaring me. I have two pretty big Muppet news here. First off, we heard from a show called the George Lucas streaming show or whatever. It is a weird name. It's like the George Lucas talk show stream thing. Whatever it was called. I forget. But we heard from Brian Henson himself that Disney Plus is looking at trying to get the Muppet Show and figuring out all the rights and the music rights to get the Muppet Show on Disney Plus, and Muppets Tonight and everything like that. He mentioned both those shows. That sounds really promising. It seems like that's the one thing most people want on Disney Plus, like not just Muppet people or Ryan Wilcherson, but like normal people. I always hear that brought up. So I think Disney is sort of looking at like, look, we have this really valuable IP that everyone brings up. We're not utilizing the Muppets well enough. Might as well sign these up, and then we'll have it everywhere in the world. Apparently they want it so they can have the Muppet Show everywhere you have Disney Plus has the Muppet Show. I think it'd be a great idea. I think people would freak out about it because we really haven't had that great of access to it. Do this news segment in your George Lucas voice? Oh, well, you see, is this my George Lucas voice? I don't remember what it is. I guess it's that. Like, oh, well, you know, the we got to get the Muppet Show on Disney Plus because everybody likes Kermit. I think that's right. Anyway, I could be your Lotto. Okay, but anyway, I think this is actually really promising news. It sounds like Disney Plus is actually. I should take it. Cheers to you, St. Powers. I should, but I think it sounds like it's actually being worked on. We have no date, but the fact that this is actually positive news is really great. The other thing is what's going on with the Muppet Babies and a lawsuit that one of the writers of it. Basically, when you hear about this lawsuit, it's like one of the writers of Muppet Babies is suing Disney over the reboot. Now, this guy, Jeffrey Scott, has more of a claim than people are really realizing. So he helped develop Muppet Babies. He came up with the idea. Now, obviously, the idea of the Muppets being babies was in was it Muppets Take Manhattan, I believe. But he came up with the ideas like Nanny and various aspects of the show that they brought over to the reboot. And he actually helped develop the reboot and sent them notes, which they apparently didn't use and didn't really credit him with and anything like that. So, since he actually owns the rights to the series Bible and the ideas that he came up with, Disney should have been paying him or, gave him royalties or stuff, and they decided not to. And it seems like they knew they had to sort of deal with him since they did talk to him beforehand, probably because they realized he owned the rights and they probably had to, and for some reason decided not to go in that direction. I think that stinks because although I will say the Muppet Babies reboot isn't as good as the original in my mind, I compared to most preschool shows, it's actually a decent show. I will say that. And I do think it's lost some of its heart, and I think having one of the original writers and person who did the series Bible makes the most sense to me, is like have them involved. I think he definitely has a case in my mind since he has the rights to these certain things, and they do have Nanny, who I believe is voiced by Jenny Slate in the new one. It's unfortunate that Disney can't just like pay people and give them credit and give them the right due and stuff like that. I don't know if there's more things on Disney's account. It seems a little odd that they would just like forget about this person who would obviously sue them if they continue. Like there wasn't a settlement or something. That's the part that seems weird. Like, why did Disney not do this? But hey, I mean, it opens them up for a lawsuit. So anyway, I think it's unfortunate that they're doing that. They should be taking better care of their creatives, especially someone who did that. Now, next up, and after this we'll do trailers and bits, the Addams Family is going to have a new live-action show with Tim Burton involved, will be producing. This is weird because I felt the Addams Family, the movie that came out in the 90s, was very much made because of the wave of the popularity of Tim Burton. It was made in, like, even though it's Barry Sonnenfeld, okay, sorry. Even though it's Barry Sonnenfeld, I think most people thought, and when I was a kid, thought like Tim Burton was involved, or if you're into Tim Burton stuff, you watch that movie. So it seems like sort of like an obvious thing for him to do. I've heard some people say it's from the perspective of Wednesday. I don't see that in any of the more official reports, but maybe. I think this could be actually cool. It's just a little too on the nose for him. It might be better because I think he needs to get back to those gothy roots, and it might be kind of cool for him. So I do think it's a little obvious. That's kind of the thing that sort of turns me off. But I'd like to. I'm sure if I saw like a trailer and watching Frank and Weenie recently, I would like that cool classic Tim Burton goth stuff to come back. So I will probably be more into it if this turns out to be more of the goth Tim Burton, but I do think it's a little like obvious. I don't know. Anyway, so trailers and bits. If you're wondering why I have this, it's because I end up talking about like a million trailers and it sort of doesn't make sense at a certain point because there are certain ones that are a big deal and there's others that aren't and so forth. And I forgot the name of one of these movies. I'm going to Google it right now. But Will has a super chat which will help me save time while I open a new tab and search for something. But thank you, Will. Man, Barry Sonnenfeld, How the Mighty Have Fallen. That's true. Cheers to you. I heard an interview with him on Mark Maron's podcast, which is actually interesting. Yeah, I do miss the kind of classic Barry Sonnenfeld kind of. His 90s stuff was great, and I feel like as soon as like after. Did he do Wild Wild West? Yeah, he's sucked since then. I don't think I've liked many of his things after that. Anyway, but he shot a lot of great Coen Brothers movies when he did that, because he shot Blood Simple and I believe Raising Arizona. Anyway, so trailers. First, I should talk about Ma Rainey's Black Bottom trailer. This is from August Wilson, I believe. Play. It looks actually really cool. It's Chadwick Boseman's last film, I believe. Also with Viola Davis, who looks actually pretty unrecognizable. To be honest, like doesn't look like the Viola Davis we mostly know. It's mainly about jazz musicians who are being basically having their music stolen and so forth. But it actually looks really cool. Heard a lot of people say, "Oh, is this like another Fences?" It doesn't cinematically look like Fences at all. Actually, it looks like a lot more interesting, and I'm sort of excited to see that one. The next one was Prom, which I didn't, despite living in New York and seeing ads and stuff for it on Broadway for forever, didn't know it was about like 4 major movie star people come to a town and help this gay kid have a prom. I guess it like doesn't seems more fantasy than like a real interesting movie, but sure. Meryl Streep and Nicole Kidman are in it. It just doesn't look like a real interesting movie. It just looks like a big fantasy, which people could like. People like lighter stuff right now, but I just didn't. None of the songs in it like really compelled me. So maybe if it has some cool sequences, I don't know. It's coming out tomorrow. What's coming out tomorrow? Do you mean I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, Endeth? What? Okay. The trailer for News of the World, which stars Tom Hanks, is kind of like I guess a journalist or storyteller who is traveling the Old West, and he finds a girl and he's kind of trying to rescue her. That actually looked kind of cool, like a new school kind of Western. Oh, and the prom's tomorrow. I get what's going on. There was this is a trailer not many people are talking about. It's called Embattled. It stars Stephen Dwarf as a father who's an MMA fighter, and his son becomes an MMA fighter. He's a terrible person. And then him and his son are going to fight each other in MMA, and it's actually kind of way more compelling than I thought it would be. It's from the writer of American History X. It actually looked kind of interesting. I could see it becoming a little too melodramatic, but I was like surprised like how much I got into the trailer. So there's that. Wolfwalkers is going to come to theaters on November 13th from G Kids. Obviously it's going to be on Apple Plus in December, and I forgot what date that was. And finally, because I know the promise tomorrow meme. I forgot. Sorry. And finally, I'm only saying this because there's literally only a sentence about this, but I have a little bit more, so this is sort of ending the segment and going on to more, is Creed 3 is going to be directed, supposedly, by Michael B. Jordan. This was in a report from The Hollywood Reporter, really more about MGM and No Time to Die than it was about Creed 3, and they just sort of mention it, which is a very Hollywood Reporter thing to do. You should always read full reports from them because they always put like a little thing in there. This is a big deal. Apparently, the Irving Kershner, I believe, or whomever the producer was of the Rocky movies, wanted, if Creed 3 were to happen, to give the directing duties to Michael B. Jordan. This makes sense if you think of the Rocky movies as Sylvester Stallone directed probably more of the Rocky movies than anyone. The difference is Michael B. did not write or develop the character of Creed. That was obviously Ryan Coogler, sorry. What? That was obviously Ryan Coogler. So it's a little different from what happened with Stallone. But it's kind of interesting to see him direct it. It seems like I think this new franchise needs a more, I think, direction, frankly. But I think it's going to be actually kind of cool to have him be directing, a new Creed movie. It sounds... I just want them to do a new direction, but we know that Felicia Rashad will be involved, but apparently Stallone, we don't know what's going on with that. I sort of think Stallone should not be in anymore. I feel like Creed 2 was sort of a good end. But, it's sort of a natural fit for this franchise for the star to direct it. Anyway, they should bring back Mr. T. I actually do think they should not do... I think Creed 2, they had to do the Drago thing. Like, you had to get that. But I think they should do a whole new direction. Like, maybe an MMA thing. Just, like, a different thing. I wouldn't mind a Rocky type... Have I said this somewhere? I forget. A Rocky, like an actual Rocky type fighter to fight Creed. Meaning, like, someone who came out of... Like basically, like... I feel like at one point the Creed movie should do a thing where he gets a guy from nowhere to fight him, and he basically plays the Rocky movie from Apollo Creed's perspective. I think that would be cool. Anyway, that's just my idea. But I do think they should do one that has nothing to do with, like, referencing a ton of plot lines. They should just have, like, a good fight movie. But anyway, and I have I think Michael B would be a cool director, and I like him as a performer. All right, so Adult Swim Fest. It's going to have a ton of cool music. Another Run the Jewels thing, panels, things like that. It's going to be on their YouTube channel in, I guess, November 12th, I believe. And that looks actually pretty cool. So if you're into that, there's going to be a lot of streams. It seems like more people are doing these virtual conventions. It seems like Adult Swim is going to do a pretty good job at that. We have a super chat for Will. There's also that weird behind-the-scenes clips trailer I sent you for a version of Christmas Carol, weird, ambitious, animated live-action production that has crazy stacked cast behind it. Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I actually watched that a little bit ago. That does look actually interesting. Is that the one on... Anyway, there is also that. I'm sorry, Will. Cheers to you regardless. Thank you very much for the super chat. You know what? I'll watch it right now. Fuck it. Let's watch it right now. You'll just hear it. You can watch me live react to this thing. Because I forgot it. Wait, what is this? This is something different. How long is this? Oh, it's 4 minutes? Okay, maybe I'm not watching that. Never mind. Anyway, forget it. But I'll tweet it out later and say my reaction. Well, I apologize. Anyway, someone posted in the chat. Sorry. I need to move on to other things. Hocus Pocus, they're doing a thing for the New York Restoration Society thing or whatever. Doing a quick video, I'm assuming for sorry, I can't. It's a little too long to watch. But I'll tweet it out. I'm sorry. Apologies to Will. But thank you very much for the super chat. But yeah, Hocus Pocus, the sisters are back. They're going to do a video for the New York Restoration Project for, restoration of old buildings and things with Bette Midler and Sarah Jessica Parker. I know we're very passionate about, so it makes sense there. That's cool. We'll see what's going on with that video. I think it's a fundraising event. There is the Die Hard Battery ad starring Bruce Willis as John McClane, which looked pretty cool. I need to hurry this up. I think I might. Okay, I think we're okay. There was an interview with the Venture Brothers creators, Doc Hammer and Jackson Public, on the cancellation. They kind of talk about how fandom and nerddom's really changed from when they started the Venture Brothers to what it is now. How Archer they feel is the most like Venture Brothers, which I haven't seen a lot of Archer, and I sort of agree with. And that they're trying to do. There's been talk of a one-off special. I hope that happens, but they're kind of hoping that in a couple of years there could be a revival of it somewhere. We'll see about that. Basically, we'll see what happens with the Venture Brothers thing. I think it could be cool. if they do that. But I think they should let them finally end it. I think a mini-series would be more appropriate, frankly. But it seems like they're a little, like, hurt and, like, confused about, like, their place in pop culture at this point, which I think I am too, but I kind of grew up with more of the people like Doc Hammer and Jackson Public, and it probably does feel a little lost for them. Yeah, anyway, back to that Die Hard battery ad. I actually think it would be cool. It was kind of cool, like all the special effects, everything with that, like referencing the original. It was probably a better Die Hard sequel than the last Die Hard sequel. Also, there's a Lego Sesame Street thing. It was kind of more of a coming soon thing. I actually couldn't find too much info on this, but it was kind of interesting. It seems like Lego's doing something with Sesame Street, which would be cool. Oh yeah, there are new Unsolved Mysteries. I meant to talk about that at the beginning of the show. I watched 3 episodes. The one about the Washington Insider guy, I think, might have been my favorite, although the Missing Kids one was also really great. The Lady in the Lake one, which most people seem to like, was good, but it's a little like open-endy, which you can like for Unsolved Mysteries. But there's going to be a podcast about Unsolved Mysteries, going more into depth into things, which I will definitely listen to. No one sure who the narrator will be, which will be tough because of the Robert Stack thing, which we'll then have to figure out. There was a Daniel Kaluuya quote, which is mainly about his film Judas and the Black Messiah, but it's from the interview. But I think the quote about Barney, because people were like, "Why are you involved in this Barney thing?" was interesting because he basically said, like, you know, the quote you always hear from him is, "I love you, you love me, we're a happy family. What happens when that's over?" I'm sorry, it's not funny, but it is funny. It is funny. It is funny. Oh, okay, that's what happens with the Lego thing? That's interesting. It's not, but I do think he's actually like trying to do something with the Barney thing, but I don't know. I do think Barney should come back. It's interesting that show just sort of ended because it wasn't really popular anymore. It didn't end even in a spectacular fashion. So I think a reboot is possible because I know a lot of people who are younger than me have a lot of good memories of Barney. I don't know if you can make like a deeper cinematic narrative with Barney, but hey, more power to you, Daniel Kaluuya. We're working on a Smokey and the Bandit show from Seth MacFarlane and David Gordon Green. I do not think this is a good idea. I think Smokey and the Bandit is very much of its time, and let it stay there. You will never make a good Smokey and the Bandit thing without Burt Reynolds. They tried once. I think it was Smokey and the Bandit 3, and people make up urban legends to sort of explain the hell out of that fucking movie. So just don't. Just anytime you're thinking of making something that's Smokey and the Bandit that isn't just, you know, playing the original for your friends, just watch Smokey and the Bandit 3, please. 2 date moves. Ghostbusters The Afterlife has moved to June 11th, 2021, which is the original date of that the first Ghostbusters came out in 1984, which is kind of cool for them. They're like, hey, this is a big deal. People will care, I guess. And then Don't Breathe 2 has been dated with August 13th, 2021. We just heard last week that I actually wrapped filming. So, yeah, that's if there's going to be theaters at that time, those movies will open. Yay, yeah. Elvira is actually, because she's in the new Scooby-Doo TV movie thing, it says that there's an animated movie in the works. She's planning an animated movie of her character of Elvira, which is cool for her. It sounds like something she's just developing. She probably shouldn't have talked about it so early, but she is in the latest Scooby-Doo thing, and I think that might be a good avenue for her to go in. And 2 more things, and then there'll be the break. Then I come back, do segments and questions. Two segments, questions, all that. One thing, Ben Wheatley, who currently did Rebecca, which isn't great, on Netflix. Rebecca, the Alfred Hitchcock movie, is. The Ben Wheatley movie isn't. And he is signed up to do the Meg 2. I'm going to be honest, I don't like Ben Wheatley. The few movies I've seen from him, I'm not really impressed with. Apparently there's some obscure-ass films early in his filmography that people seem to like. Never get that from his fucking shit now. I do not get the deal with this director. He just seems like somebody people make a lot of excuses for, and he doesn't have the filmography to back that shit up. If he was an interesting director, he could have, like, understand how to tonally make things work. It feels like he just, like, you know, has excuses for why his narratives don't work. He doesn't have narratives to back up his excuses, so whatever. And then finally, I just don't like. You know what? I saw High Rise. It's just like I didn't see Free Fire, but it's like anytime I've seen something, I'm always just unimpressed. It's like whatever with that guy. I just don't. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Apparently, I know so little about Halo, so if I screw this part up, I'm sorry. There was planned of a Halo movie with Guillermo del Toro, and when he was planning it, there's going to be Master Chief. There was going to be a spin at the end where his brother joined the bad guys, be like a brother fight. I probably shouldn't have talked about this. Gonna be honest there. Also, Shang Chi. Oh, this was in the Discord, and I'm gonna try to remember it. Oh, apparently they have a new video out? Oh, yeah, that's probably what I'm doing right now. Shang Chi has just finished filming today, so good luck to Shang Chi, which had a bunch of stuff going on. Actually, the director had to quarantine himself away from his wife and child. Like, that had a crazy production. So, congrats to them, because I'm sure they're just like, thank fucking God, we're just done with this. So, anyway, I guess Master Chief has a brother? I don't know. But congrats to Shang-Chi. I did see there was an Evil Dead thing in the movie stories thing in the Discord. I did not have the time to look at it, but it sounded like Evil Dead will take place in high rises in the city. That could be cool, but I'm just reacting to the headline. Anyway, I'm going to pee again really quick, because I'm used to taking a break at this point. Thank you, Paleo, for being here with the whole show, by the way. Paleo and I are going to do a stream soon, and it's going to be cool. And yeah, that's what I want to say. I'm excited for it. So, yeah. Alright, I'm going to be right back. Then we're going to do a review of The Skeleton Dance, then Godzilla vs. Charles Barkley, and then questions. And then that'll be it. Alright, I will be literally right back. Alright, cool. Oh, okay. Sorry, that was quick. Okay. Alright. No, I'm not going to be... It's a different stream, I guess. Anyway, when we do that, Paleo's probably like, knows I'm serious because I'm hyping it. We don't have a date yet, but we'll figure that out later. But yeah, it's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. Oh, whoa, here we go. Ben Wheatley was also attached to Tomb Raider 2, which nothing has happened with since. Oh, you're right. No clue what the guy's doing with his career. Don't love his filmography either, but I liked Kill List. Okay, I liked Will's assessment there. Okay, I was a little worried someone's going to get mad at me. I remember the Tomb Raider 2 news. Anyway, cheers to you, Will. I'm sorry again about the Christmas Carol thing. I can't... Yeah. Okay, so let's get into it. We got 2 segments, and then we got questions. Buster, do you want to be on the show now? Let's do it. It's Buster. How are you? Want to see yourself? Oh no, hold on. Oh no. Okay. Buster, look, it's Buster. You want to say hi? Hi. How are you doing tonight? He's been my buddy the whole time. Alright. Anyway. Kind of Buster on. It's like a movie crap tradition. Okay, so 2 segments. let's get into it. Oh, I wish I refilled my water. So, first off, let's talk about the Skeleton Dance. The Skeleton Dance is from 1929. It is a Disney silly symphony. It was a Walt Disney cartoon. As it said, it is drawn by Ub Iwerks, music by Carl Stalling. This is actually the first silly symphony, which I didn't realize until researching this. I didn't know that. It was actually made right around the time of Steamboat Willie and the early Mickey Mouse cartoons, like Plain Crazy and so forth. It's kind of crazy to think of this cartoon to go with... what is going on with you, Mike, tonight? Let's just stay there. Okay, thank you. Sorry, it keeps, like, moving around. It's pretty much within the same year or two as Steamboat Willie and the classic early Mickey Mouse cartoons, and it is drawn by Ub Iwerks, the total genius who pretty much created Mickey Mouse. Don't at me, that shit is true. And what I've always liked about this, and I think what has been gift to death with the Skeleton Dance, is it is pretty much, it has no plot. There is no real plot other than it's nighttime. They're in a graveyard. Some skeletons dance and stuff. They do some weird, cool animation things that looks like Ub Iwerks had fun drawing. And then the sun comes up and they go back to their graves. That is the entire plot of this thing. But the point of this is not the plot. Because, like, if you're seeing this for the plot, you missed the point. The point of the Skeleton Dance is kind of like a jam animation drawing, which is what Ub Iwerks does so masterfully. But I think what's different about, when you think of the 60s, 70s jam stuff, it very much points out that these animators are having fun. It's like, that's the whole point of them, right? In Skeleton Dance, that's not the point. The point is to watch these skeletons dance, do lots of funny things, and I've never seen anyone not be entertained by it. Like, you see it every Halloween, we hear people talk about how much they love the Skeleton Dance. And it is literally just watching... Believe this is the shocking part. It is literally just watching. Sorry, that was a dumb joke. It is literally just watching skeletons dance. That's it. You see some cats react to them dancing. You see an owl react to them dancing. That's it. That's the whole thing. It's wonderful. It's amazing. Ub Iwerks. I mean, they literally have a shot where the camera goes through an entire skeleton. Where you see the camera go through an entire skeleton. Like, he does a lot of crazy stuff in here that you don't notice because it's not calling to attention, because Ub Iwerks is a fucking master. Sorry I'm cursing so much. It really is just wonderful. But so how the Skeleton Dance happened is, and I was kind of wondering, like, to me, this is an Ub Iwerks thing. If you knew how Ub Iwerks worked, in most of those days, he pretty much drew everything. Most of the animation is done by him, and then Walt Disney would just, like, slap his name on it and take a nap. I don't know what he did, but wait, that's not a skull. That's funny, really. But apparently the idea and the concept of this is not from Walt Disney or Ub Iwerks. It's from the third man who's credited in the opening title, and that's Carl Stalling. Now, Carl Stalling, who basically, as soon as they made Steamboat Willie, who would do the music and stuff, he was an organist, and he would compose stuff for the Mickey Mouse shorts like Plain Crazy and the Galloping Gaucho, and he thought it'd be cool if Disney made some musical novelty cartoons combining cartoons and music, which was a little semi-common at the time, or was uncommon. It was basically his idea, and he pitched, he would play some music, and he actually pitched the idea of skeletons dancing in a graveyard, and which is kind of interesting. You'd think, like, this kind of a weird idea would be from Ub Iwerks or something like that, but it's from Carl Stalling, which is interesting. And I think this very much fits the music completely. I really like this cartoon. It is an absolute Halloween classic. I actually was going to play it for my 3-year-old daughter, and we didn't get very far because she got scared. So it still, I think, has some good scares in it. It was actually banned in Denmark in 1931 for being too macabre, so you know that shit's good. But I really like the skeleton dance. It's just a wonderful kind of jam drawing from one of the greatest animators of all time, which was Elvira. So you can see him play in probably one of his more celebrated periods, like the late 20s, when he was, making, where Mickey Mouse was taking off and taking over the entire world. He introduces another cartoon series, and he kicks it off with probably one of the more memorable animated sequences of all time with the skeleton dance. And I think it shows how great of an animator he is, because we're still talking about it, and I guarantee you most of you probably didn't even know who animated it. You think it's an old cartoon and so forth. This cartoon, for some reason, is not on Disney Plus, but it is on their official YouTube channel, so it's not like they're hiding it or anything, but I do think it should be on Disney Plus as well, and they should give it a nice new restoration also while they're at it, but they probably won't do that. But Skeleton Dance is a wonderful Halloween classic. If you're looking for, something to watch between some spooky movies for spooky season, this would be a perfect fit. Okay, alright, so there's not really much to say about Skeleton Dance, because it's a bunch of skeletons dancing, but, I try. Okay, so I prefaced in the thing for this video, for this stream, that, okay, I just want to make sure of something, sorry. I prefaced when I made this stream about this next segment that it is not about the comic, it's about the commercial. I find that so odd, because I'm talking about Godzilla vs. Charles Barkley, because I was, around in the 90s. This came out in 1992. It was way more about the commercial than the comic. The comic was something that happened that everyone ignored. I have no clue why there's more reviews of the comic. It seems so weird to me. So that's sort of why I just want to do the commercial. Also, the commercial's shorter than reading that comic, which I have read. It's okay. There's some cool, funny panels in it. Honestly, that's as much as I think you can get out of it. But, Linkara did a review and stuff. But there is actually a good behind-the-scenes thing of this. But it's basically a commercial where Godzilla is attacking Tokyo, and Charles Barkley shows up, is going to play him in basketball, kind of like, basically like fouls, punches him, and scores a big basket, and then that's it. And that's it. It's 30 seconds. This is actually made by Industrial Light and Magic to look like a Godzilla movie, so which is why it has this kind of like interesting look about it. And the director actually was worked on things like E.T. and stuff like that. But it's has this kind of interesting vibe to it, because it's a Godzilla movie. I think kind of shows you America could have made a Godzilla film if they made it this way, but instead of they like Americanized it, it was like once they were aping the Godzilla style and made it in this kind of like odd 90s style, it kind of worked. It's very precisely shot, and there is a really precise behind the scenes thing. There is a behind the scenes video that goes through like literally everything you can imagine about everything making this, that if you are super interested in Godzilla vs. Charles Barkley, don't worry, you can watch it. It's like including just shots that you just think are just like throwaway things they like needlessly planned, which kind of shows you why this is like instantly so memorable. Also because Charles Barkley, fought Godzilla. That's kind of interesting as well. And they were being a little more interesting about basketball players in pop culture. Obviously, Michael Jordan was doing stuff with Bugs Bunny in commercials at the same time. And I think it's fun, like, what they do with Godzilla. They make Godzilla funny. He puts on big glasses, like he's going to play basketball. All this stuff. They destroy some stuff. And then they're, just friends in the end. Depending on the edit, there's one version that says, have you ever considered wearing sneakers? Which is because it's a Nike commercial. The other is because he was like, hey, you're pretty big. Have you ever thought about, or the Lakers could use a big guy, I think, right? Something like that. Anyway, it's a fun commercial. It's very 90s and silly. It actually premiered during the 1992 Video Music Awards, which is probably the most early 90s thing they can imagine. But it's just such a funny, odd little commercial, because it's like Godzilla. You have Charles Barkley. Obviously, those are two things that check off big boxes for me, because you probably already know my love of Charles Barkley from the Knockforce things and stuff. But I think yes, they needlessly destroy buildings, as Cornbread has said. It's sort of a goofy little short, but it's like having fun with Godzilla, but also being respectful. This was originally actually made for the Japanese television and not for American. But they liked the commercial so much they aired it everywhere. It was an actual big deal. They made posters, they made a comic book, they made merchandise of it because it was kind of a funny big deal. Like I remember they aired it a lot. I remember it from my childhood thinking it was actually kind of cool. You know, it's kind of how I knew who Charles Barkley was because he took on Godzilla and won at basketball, which Godzilla isn't really known for his basketball skills, but you know. And I think, you know, Godzilla, I like that it's a Godzilla fight and they just like walk off and they're just, you know, they're just friends. Charles Barkley and Godzilla. There's just kind of a classic 90s commercial that had way too much money in it and was utterly ridiculous and then had an ad campaign. It was just like, this is how commercials were in the 80s and 90s. They even had t-shirts and they'd literally make commercials for a commercial, which is beyond postmodernism. It's just capitalism. But if you ever need a fun little laugh, the 30 seconds of watching Godzilla play Charles Barkley is, you know, just a fun little thing. And I think Charles Barkley leaned into it. Apparently he was really game for it. Even in the behind the scenes, he seems like he was having fun doing it. And I think they do a good job of making a really professional special effects Godzilla. It's hilarious that this is better than the 1998 one, but I think it's because they're sort of loose about it and cared more about like articulating just this simple little fight rather than telling a bigger story. It's sort of like an interesting little demo reel for a nice American Godzilla movie that would never happen. Because I'd much rather a Godzilla movie in America be fun like this than to make some point that metaphorically they can't make. But whatever, it's just fun watching, you know, Godzilla take on Charles Barkley. Okay, that's true. He is. Charles Barkley was in Clerks. You're right. All right, so we're gonna do questions. We have a lot of time for questions. Really pick some short things today. So I'm gonna do. I have 3 Patreon questions, and I will answer questions in the chat. I have one from Sinram who says, I am able to get several streaming services through my Comcast Xfinity digital cable, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Peacock, Tubi, possibly more. Since each streamer requires its own membership fee, well, I mean, not Tubi or Peacock, but anyway, membership fee right now, do you think it's possible that cable companies like Comcast will offer bundles in the future, multiple streaming subscriptions for a discounted rate? I know it's been talked about a lot. There isn't an actual thing that can do that yet, but I think that will probably happen in the near future. We will probably see that at some point, and I think they should because it's a little pricey at a certain point, and it would help services like the Criterion Channel or Shudder, because you'd be like, oh, and I'll take Shudder too for this discounted rate or something. You know, it'll help the fringier ones as well, but I think they should do it. Ramiro or Ransan Film asks, what's one group or band or artist you really got into or really like that you feel aren't good or are considered awful by others? I guess when I was a teenager, I liked Korn. I don't really like Korn now. I like the food, but not really the band. So I guess it would be that one. Sorry, I don't have water and I needed something. I should have gotten more water. I'm stupid. Alright, so now we have Will's. Will says, with the surprising comeback of Borat, do you think this will usher a whole new level of underground guerrilla filmmaking, both from the independent and big budget ranks? Magnet, we're seeing more examples of Bad Trip. Seriously, where is that? That's a good point. And other Jackass or in-betweeners examples. It'd be so wild if we got another genre bender work like Versus in this current day and age. Note, anybody who hasn't seen what I'm referring to, do it. Absolutely riot of a good time. Okay. I think you could see more of that, like the kind of like, prank, hidden prank thing. I wouldn't be surprised. I've seen a lot of things about the, what was it, CM Punk? No, CMKY, whatever thing that Bam Margera did back in the day. I'm seeing more about that. I think that could come back, and I think low-budget guerrilla stuff probably will work a little more. I'm surprised we haven't seen more of that broke out, but I think the avenue or the opportunity for that is really happening right now. So I think I think he basically, yes, I think that can happen. I think it will happen. And we will probably see, I think Borat 2 will inspire a little bit, but there needs to be sort of like a newer voice to do that. I don't know if Borat 2 will like inspire like a whole wave like Borat 1 probably could have, or Jackass inspired all those imitators back in the day. All right, so let's try to do a bunch of questions tonight because I won't get to do this for 2 weeks. So, Zane Powers, how do you think Quibi could have fared if Michael Eisner had made it instead? I actually think Michael Eisner, who was behind BoJack Horseman, he didn't create it. He's a little better at managing creative visions, and he does take creative risks that Katzenberg wouldn't. So I think if his Quibi ended, we would probably be talking about how there would have been better shows. Charles Barkley, what about Gnarls Barkley from Mandela Butterfly? Gnarls Barkley is pretty good. I do like Gnarls. It's been a little bit since I listened to them. Tanner Lands. Hey, Tanner Lands. If the Animaniacs reboot proves successful, do you think they'll try and reboot the other Spielberg-produced cartoons of the 90s like Tiny Toons and Freakazoid? I'd love a reboot of those two. I think Tiny Toons does deserve a bit of a re-examination. I've been wanting to watch Tiny Toons recently. I haven't in a while. And I think Freakazoid possibly. I could see that happening. Yeah, I bet you Warner's does not want to do those on Hulu. I bet they would happen on HBO Max, however. Nathaniel Fogo, favorite Atop the Fourth Wall review. I don't really watch him that much, so I would not say I could say that with any authority. I've watched a few. He's a little too nitpicky for me, so I don't think I have one. Sorry. Austin, could Larry Bird beat Mothra in basketball? No. Mothra could totally beat Larry Bird in basketball. Ransom Film, what's your opinion on stories in reviews, and what was your first big concert? Mine was AC/DC on January 23rd, 2009. P.S. They have a new album out next month. I don't think it really works for the most part. I think it's sort of dumb. The stories in reviews. My first concert was They Might Be Giants, which is pretty cool. Any thoughts on the Rage Carry 2? I've never seen it, and I thought it was a dumb idea. What's a dating service you think that would be good for me? I'm so lonely. Zane Powers. I know so little about dating services. I met my wife way before all that stuff happened, so I'm not the right person to ask. Do you think a full-length movie could work released in a Quibi format? They did do that, so I didn't watch any of them. I think they're going to recut them as movies, because that's the other thing. They actually don't own any of the rights to stuff, so you'll probably see some Quibis recut as movies on Netflix or other services. Austin has favorite Hitchcock movie. Oh man, I don't know. Maybe Rear Window, maybe Psycho, maybe Notorious some days, Vertigo. Probably Rear Window is a good one though. It's like kind of hard to shake that one. I don't know. Yeah, maybe some of those. What are your thoughts from Jordan Sloffo on Dead Poets Society? It has been a long time since I've seen that, but I remember quite liking it. I remember it being a good kind of heartwarming sort of movie. Robin Williams really good in it. It's been a little bit though for me. Sorry. Zane Powers, what did you do when you got out of college, since I'm closer to there and feeling aimless and not sure what to do? I will give you some good advice actually. When I got out of college, the year after exactly to the day, a year after I graduated, we launched Knock Force. That year between graduating and launching it, we were developing something. I will say I didn't really feel lost as I could have that first year, because I had something. I took on as many projects as I could because I like working on stuff and creating stuff, and Knock Force really helped in that, because I was able to develop something right after and feel creative, and not, because I think a lot of people, especially if you're in art school like me, you create, and then it ends, and then you sort of just don't for a long time. So I would say, like, find a good project for yourself that will help you not feel aimless, because that's what worked for me. So I hope that helps. I don't know. I hope that helps. Nathaniel Foga asks, would you actually want a Clerks animated series revival? I would not be opposed to it, but I think they should have the writers they had in the original. I don't think it should be just Kevin Smith. Favorite Halloween candy? Probably from Mandela Butterfly. I think I used to really like Milky Ways. It might just be Snickers now. So, Not plausible. What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets? I mean, pretty much. Bruce Parker, do you think Linkara running the show could have saved Quibi? Absolutely. Why didn't they give Linkara a show? That was a big mistake. Cornbread, what was a better title for the third Ghostbusters film? Ghostbusters Afterlife or Ghostbusters Hellbent? I think Afterlife's actually better. Paleo, why aren't you that into video games? You're only a few years older than me, Saber, etc. Seems like it's just something that missed you but got us. That is a good question. Probably because my mom was like not really into me having a system, and anytime I bring it up, she'd really try to fight it. To be honest, like I think it's like I'll save up and buy a Nintendo, and she was like, she like didn't. I liked video games, but I never got that into them, and I didn't even have a system until I had a Game Boy when I was in 5th grade. So it's like I'd play like I beat Killer Instinct on Game Boy and stuff, but I was never that good, and I never had a system in my home, and I just got into movies. I don't actually have anything against them, and I like Paleo's video game news thing he was doing on his channel. I thought that was actually really cool, despite the fact that I know so little about gaming. But I'm actually, the one thing I will say, I've never felt a disrespect for gaming. I know a lot of movie people do, and I always hated that because I think it draws a shitty line in the sand that there shouldn't be. But yeah, I think it's more because my parents just weren't, or specifically my mom was not into me playing video games. So that, you know, she'd always like get really weird about it. I think that's a little silly. I think I should have. Personally, I think it was just a little overblown. She didn't really. I think a lot of the boomer parents didn't really understand video games and shouldn't have been making the decisions they made. And that's not just directed at my parents, but more just like the censorship that happened and so forth. I think they didn't really know what they're talking about. I'm gonna be honest. When you hear those discussions now that I'm their age when they were making those things, I'm like, I don't think you guys actually knew what you were saying. So I you know, I do enjoy video games. It's just I didn't have as much access. I think what ruined that. So Zane Powers, thoughts on one of Google's creative directors saying that streamers who play games should be paying the publishers to play them. Okay, I actually do want to talk about this. So let me say this, don't get mad at me. I think there is a legal idea that he has a point, but I think he expressed it poorly. He should have said, what if this happens? If because of songs, this technically could happen. But I think he opened a big can of worms and swallowed it. And that was real stupid, and he should have been smarter. I don't think he's... And knowing who he was for Google, I think he shouldn't have been saying that shit on Twitter. But it is like an interesting argument you could have with friends. I don't think... It seems like the gaming industry is not interested in doing that. I could see legally you have sort of an interesting point, but I think he got messed up from how he expressed it. So, and I don't think that's something they should do. It would like ruin streaming for everyone. Wait. Where's that Ryan Walterson question? Okay. Who's the best member of the Ghost Trio? Stretch, Stinky, or Fatso? Probably Stretch. I feel like it's really Stretch's gang. Thoughts on the Alfred Hitchcock film Vertigo? I don't know. It's really good. I don't know if it's the best film ever, but that's a complex thing to talk about. So maybe one day I'll do a review. Best member of the Ghoul School. I don't know their names, so I'm not sure. Sorry. Mandela Butterfly. Oh, that was Bruce Parker. This is Mandela Butterfly. Should they have made a Ghostbusters live-action TV show or have one now? I don't think so. I think the animated one's really great. They should play that more, or that should be talked about more. No one talks about it, really. Question. You think we're going to get Bruno 2 in 2021? No, probably not. Austin. Cornbread. In honor of scaring my roommate by forcing him to watch the two Bo-Rats, I must ask, what is your favorite Bo-Rat funny moment? Actually, like, there's a deleted scene where he makes the person goes, what's that? You know, it's cheese. What's that? It's cheese. That's my favorite Bo-Rat moment. It's like a deleted scene on the DVD. Zane Powers, is Rocky racist since it was conceived around the counter-progressive culture surrounding the fight between Ali and that one guy? There is an element of that, but I think I've never viewed it that way. I've never heard it viewed that way, and I think they've countered it several times since then. So I don't know if I agree with that. Zane Powers also has thoughts on the rumor that Hasbro may cut their connections with Super Sentai and making Power Rangers not related. Oh, that's lame. I don't like that. I hope they don't do that. Do Zane Powers, dinosaurs have feathers? I believe so. Cornbread, have you and Sophie caught any new Pokemon lately? If so, which ones? I could name them, but we did a week ago. Maybe we'll tomorrow. But we try to at least a couple times a week. So, what's you and Sophie's level in Sonic 2? No, it's a Sonic Dash, but we don't get very far. It's not a good game. I need to get a better Sonic game. Bloxy says, what's your favorite workout routine? I don't really do that. I mean, I work out a lot I lift a lot of things, but not weights. What's the mentality of people who want to be normal person critics, and why doesn't it work? I think it doesn't work because a normal person doesn't watch a million movies a year, so it's inherently a flawed system. Bloxy actually question, waffles or pancakes? Pancakes, not plausible. When will you be gone for a couple? Why will you be gone for a couple of weeks? We won't make it through this election without your famous political hot takes. I will still be on Twitter and posting things. I just won't have a stream. But please vote. I don't think I have that many hot takes. I think I'm more political on Twitter than I'm on this. Zane Powers, how's this as an idea for a movie? Take a classic cartoon and then put them in the real world. Nice. Black Sackman Soul, do you think Mike from Red Letter Media killed theaters? Sure. Cornbread, when you were a young boy, did your father take you into the city to see a marching band? Like, actually a lot, believe it or not. Question on the PvP, you said you were going to next worst movie all time soon. That you were going to do the worst movie all time soon, and what will it be and what year will it come out? Oh, that there's going to be maybe in a couple years. I don't know what it'll be. We'll see. Question, can we see you run like Linkara? No. From Zane Powers, what's your favorite Halo game? 7? Okay. M Blood T. I want to try to get people, variety of people, sorry. M Blood T, you think that the Blade reboot will be out of place for the MCU, or will they take creative risks for it? Are you excited for it, or is it a bad idea? I think it's a good idea. I think it'll be good for the variety of the MCU. I think they'll have to take creative risks with it. I'm curious what it'll be. I'm actually curious. I'm excited for it, actually. Okay, let's see. When NASA colonized the moon, you think they will copyright the moon and the moon will no longer be public domain? Probably. Question, what will be the first song played on the moon from Blaze the Vark? I hope it's Starman. I think David Bowie should be that. Jesus B, have you ever seen the Australian movie Turkey Shoot? No, I haven't. Favorite Stanley Kubrick film from Nathaniel Fogel? Either Dr. Strangelove, The Shining. Probably those two. I would say those two. Probably. From Sleepy Time for Cat Productions, would you ever review the Bud Bowl commercials? You know what? I would. I used to love those as a kid. I'm not against that. Zane Powers, what's your type? Probably my wife, I guess. Film Theory. Rocky is Daniel LaRusso's father. I think that's probably correct because the guy who directed the Karate Kid movie directed the first Rocky. I lift a lot of things. I think it's it. That's it. I think we got it all. Alright, I think that is it for tonight. I will see you guys again on a stream, at least, in 2 weeks. There will be videos in that 2-week period. Obviously, you know me. Yeah, you know me. I will have stuff coming out since then. Other videos and so forth. I think I'll have a review out Halloween night, something like that. But we will see. But I want to thank you all guys for being here. Please vote if you can. If there's early voting, please get out there and vote. It's sad to see people not vote, especially when they're eligible to and are able to. It's disheartening, I guess. But see some cool movies. I think I'll have a video out tomorrow night. We'll see. Not sure, but the movie review vote will be out on Monday. And I think we'll have a good chunk of videos. And my Tales of the Far Side video will finally be out this week. I keep taking too long to do it. But thank you all very much for coming out. Thank you for the generous super chats. Thank you for joining the Discord. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you in general for being a great audience. I have a really great fan base, and I'm very thankful for that. So I'll see you all next time, and have a good night and a happy Halloween. And subscribe. Sorry, YouTube's weird. If you would like to. Peace. Bye. Does it? No? Okay. Anyway, I think at some point this will work.